Brett Crowther here with Charles Schwab, and I want to show you a price pattern I've been seeing a lot of in the market recently and how to potentially deal with it if, in fact, they do break out one way or another. So let's get over to the charts and look at them, okay? And what I'm talking about is some channel patterns. It's been interesting because stocks don't tend to like to be bound up, you know. They like to be able to freely move up and down and whatnot. And so what I'm going to do is come in here and draw a line across many of the lows, and we kind of have it more recently in here. So I'm going to start right about in this ballpark right there and take up the highs, something like this. And now you've seen some spots go inside now, but more recently it's stuck in this channel, right? You can see the earnings coming up that could potentially break it out of that. Now that's MAR. And by the way, any stock that I talk about is for educational purposes only. I'm just using them to illustrate this concept, not a recommendation. Here's MCHP. Once again, you can see a lot of choppiness around the bottom here. And oftentimes, if you don't know where to draw, in fact, I'll grab another one and I'll show you this again. But if sometimes the bottom or the top lines up easier, but again, stuck in a channel, bouncing back and forth. Okay, and so like up in here. I'm going to draw actually a lot of choppiness around this ballpark right here. You can see where either the wick or the candle itself closed there, and then I'm going to drag it up to where a lot of the highs are, just a wick touch, a candle touch, poked above it, but then fell back in. So we have GECH within the channel again. And this one is probably a really good example of like, okay, the lows are right here. So let's just draw these lows. You know, sometimes it's very evident, and then you can drag it on up and say, okay, the highs are somewhere about in there. A little bit of an island gap right there, but then it fell back in. Okay, so now what's the deal here? Well, typically speaking, you know, something like an earnings announcement will pop it out of that, but it didn't. And so, you know, what we're looking for is a break either below or above. Now, one thing we can do is simply duplicate that channel because according to the price pattern and technical analysis, if it breaks, it could potentially run the distance of that channel. It doesn't have to, but it potentially can. And so we'll do it to the bottom. We'll duplicate it again, and we'll raise that to the top and just kind of line those up. And that essentially gives us, you know, a potential target if it breaks the upside, and a potential target if it breaks the downside. And so one that I can show you, it's already been that kind of broken. Whoops, let me cancel that and draw this once again. Get our channel tool right here. And this one lows are right about there, and the highs are right about there. And so this one broke out the upside. Now this one happened to run real hard. It's a pharmaceutical stock, and so it ran pretty quickly. But if we duplicate that, you can see, you know, add that on, and that gives it kind of a target to the upside. You can see it's almost there. But so that's the way you can potentially take advantage of that, is by, you know, looking at those channels, looking for those breakouts, and then duplicating the channel to get a potential target spot on that. So, you know, go look at some charts and see if you can get your eye to see these as well. Good luck with that.